All right. Anyone who has watched my Snapchat knows that I like to shout out to this guy right here, my friend Charles Franta.
Truth.
He's an awesome, amazing musician and a great friend. Love this guy to death. So, and we're lucky that he's here back in Utah for the summer because he's going to music school out in Massachusetts.
It's
What's the
true.
name of that school?
Berklee College of Music.
Berklee College of Music. And what's that like out there?
Man, it was a tough year. It was really just like, I think for everyone, the first year of college is like kind of like finding your footing, and trying to like pass all your classes is the main thing. So I wrote a lot of songs, but I didn't have much time for like collaborations or like band stuff or the stuff I'm really passionate about in the end. But that's definitely like something to look forward to next year.
So that was a little bit of an adjustment for you because you're used to more like collaborating and more like band.
Exactly.
Stuff,
It was
right?
a weird year, but it was the first year. I mean, it was the first year I hadn't been in a band, like since like early high school, which was definitely strange. I've been in a band since like 10th grade, and I'm getting my band back together here this summer.
Yeah, Soap was pretty popular here in Utah, and you're getting it back together.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
We had our first practice the other day.
Nice. A lot of the same original people.
Actually, the exact same like original lineup, which is
The
crazy
original
because
lineup.
we actually weren't always playing with them. Like we had Victor Foster on bass at one point instead of Callum Dingley, and now Dingley's back on bass.
So
Yeah.
what's the name of everyone in your band?
We got Sam Fudor on drums, Callum Dingley on bass, Quinn Shumway on guitar, and myself on rhythm guitar and vocals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you write a lot of the.
I do write a lot of the material. I mean, it's really fun working with them because they're great at coming up with like their own parts and like collaborating on their own parts and like the songs as I bring them to them.
Yeah.
And then Quinn writes some of his own songs too, and we kind of do the reverse where I'm like helping arrange things and Quinn's the writer.
How did you guys come up with the name Soap? I actually don't know this. I've never actually asked you that before.
It was kind of Quinn's idea back like in 10th grade. He was kind of attracted to like band names that were like one word, like bread or food, and then he just thought soap would be like a fun extension of that. And the first thing I thought of like, I didn't think of soap as like the household product. I thought of like a soap opera, and I thought that was
Okay.
cool. Like kind of like it's a word that almost like represents like drama.
So yes, it's like we bring the drama.
Yeah, exactly.
You can count on us. If there's not enough drama in your life, just listen to some.
I know,
Soap.
yeah, it's dramatic music, I think, truly. So I've actually like, the name's a little bit silly. I've gone through phases of liking it or not liking it, but I think overall, I actually do like the band name.
Yeah, that's cool. And okay, tell everyone how old you are.
I'm 18 years old,
18 years
turning
old.
19 before my next show, but
Going to a nice music school, and I love how you're throwing yourself into this. Like this is serious because you're very talented, love your stuff and everything. How old were you when you first started thinking like music was something that you wanted to do?
I mean, I always knew from like my first conscious thoughts, really. I mean, I
Whole life.
always tell the anecdote, like when I was 2 years old, I like was begging my dad to play The Bends by Radiohead. He didn't even really like the album at first, but I made him play it so much that he ended up liking it. So like by two years old, I knew, I mean, that's like the most guitar music album there is, so I knew I wanted to do guitar music. I always like kind of had fantasies and an imagination of being in a band.
Were your parents pretty musical, or I mean?
My dad, I wouldn't say my mom is musical above the average person, but my dad is like, he doesn't play music, but he's really invested in like stereo technology and like getting the best sounds and listening to music. He's like a real, just like you, Ryan, like a real kind of avid music appreciator.
Hey, awesome. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
cool. Well, it's hard not to appreciate music when you're friends with Charles Franta because like he's so
I don't know,
awesome and
yeah.
talented.
I don't know if I've ever had a friend who isn't a music appreciator. I think most people are on some level.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's actually like when I get to know someone or whatever, then that helps me appreciate their music more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you know what I mean?
I definitely know that. Like it's cool knowing someone and hearing what they can do, what they can create. It gives a whole nother like meaning to it.
Yeah, and just like as a person, you can appreciate like lyrics that they've written and so forth, more.
Right. No, absolutely.
And stuff. So your parents were pretty supportive then. They've been
Always very supportive. I had this like funny idea when I was like young in high school that I kind of had this like fantasy of being like the Smiths or something and having like or I don't know, like my parents like not like the music, and I don't even know if that was really true. I just kind of had this like fantasy of this idea like, oh, my parents would be like telling me like turn off that racket or whatever, and I'd be doing it anyway, which is so silly looking back.
It's like a stereotype.
Yeah, I wanted to live that stereotype, which is really funny because looking back, it was actually a great thing. Like even certain ways that my dad like pushed me to do it or like practice guitar more, like honestly it ended up actually being a great help.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Was guitar? What was your first lesson like? Did it seem like, oh man, this is gonna be hard, or did it seem like after that first lesson, what were your feelings? And how old were you?
My first guitar lesson, I was, I think I was in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating at first. Like I kind of wanted like the instant kind of success thing, I didn't want to work for it. I just wanted to be really good. So the early stages, when I remember like practicing, I always hated practicing, and I still do. Well, no, actually I kind of like practice. Since I got to Berkeley, I kind of like practicing more.
Yeah.
But historically, I've always hated practicing guitar.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a metaphor for life, though, what you said about how like at first you were just kind of like, oh man, I'm never gonna get this or something or whatever, or like you wanted it to just happen, right? You wanted to just know how to play the guitar, right? Or you wanted to just
yeah.
But then over time you became the master, no longer the apprentice.
I mean, I still don't think I'm a very good guitar player.
Compared to me.
Compared to someone who doesn't play guitar,
idea.
Absolutely, but
yes.
I'm more of a writer, kind of a musical vocation rather than like, I don't know, being like a really talented guitar player. I just see my guitar as like a tool to kind of like get my ideas across.
What inspires you to write like a new song? Is it more just like you're feeling something, or is it more just kind of like okay, I should write a song, so I'm going to sit down and write it? Because that's probably not the best way to do it. It's probably better to do it if you're like feeling something that you want to put down, but it probably happens both ways sometimes, right?
I feel like it's not like, I think a lot of people, especially who don't write songs, maybe understand it as like trying to channel an abstract emotion and put it into a song. But for me, it's actually like when I write a song, it's a very specific feeling. Like it's the kind of I want to write a song feeling. It's like I have something burning in my head a little bit. Like for example, when I was at one of my favorite songs I wrote this past year that it'll be put to tape at some point. It's called Every Winter of My Life. And I just had this kind of like guitar note like ringing through my head as I was walking back from 7-Eleven in Boston. It was just like, and I was kind of hearing like a melody on top of it, and I just like put it to paper as soon as I got back. It's that kind of thing where it's just like it's something in your brain that kind of commands you. Or sometimes you can sit down and try to write a song without anything, and maybe sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. But it's definitely a very like writing a song is like a very specific feeling. It's the feeling of wanting to create, I guess.
And it's kind of interesting that I thought a while back about how most songs have something to do with like love or something to do with. It's hard to think of a song that doesn't in some way have something to do with like. Well, I guess I shouldn't say it's hard to think of a song, but I'd say at least 90% of songs have something to do with like that emotion that's hard to otherwise like express. You know what I mean?
No, that's such a smart observation. Me and my dad were talking about that recently. He just said like all songs are love songs basically, and I was like, I don't know. I kind of think I know a lot of songs that aren't. And he said it's like cool to have songs that aren't just love songs. Like I think we were specifically talking about the song "Never in My Arms, Always in My Heart" by the Lemon Twigs, which is like about a miscarriage. And that's not a love song, but it's like songs that have topics that are like go beyond love. I don't know, like it's hard to almost like think about like when to draw the line of what's a love song and what's not. Like, is a breakup song a love song? Is like a hate you song a love song? Really, it's like my dad would argue that yeah, it is. I don't know. It's interesting. It's like interesting like drawing the line, but I think you're totally right that love songs are like a big part of what music is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, like love and attraction and the feelings, even of like breaking up or like
Right.
whatever. Those are things that are kind of intangible, right? Because there's not really logic involved, but it's something that people feel like inside. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so,
It's an intangible feel. Yeah. No. You're
so
totally
music is sort of a natural outlet for that.
Right.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. What about your songs? Like, would you say that you've written anything that is in no way related to, I don't know, to like those sorts of feelings?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I usually do. Also, my lyrics are usually pretty. I kind of write in a descriptive way. Like I kind of like telling loose stories,
Mhm.
or character portraits, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it is I write when I kind of feel like a kind of attraction or something like that. Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything I've written. Actually, what I do write is, and I don't know if you could call this a love song in the same way, or maybe it's a love song in a different way, but I've written a good few songs about friends, like that are more like for friends than like for a love interest. But those are still they're certain kind of loving declarations of some kind. Like I wrote a song about my friend getting clean from drugs and stuff like that. So I've definitely written songs that aren't like about girls or straight up love songs, but I think a lot of it does come from kind of a place of love for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because we're doing this outside here. We're doing this interview outside, and there's like a tree over there, and occasionally I'll hear like a bird chirping, and it's kind of funny because like when birds are chirping, it seems like they're almost like singing love songs to each other, right? Like they're kind of like, I don't know, like animals seems like the way they interact with each other. A lot of times it has to do with because like when I was younger, we had some ringneck doves. And they would always like coo at each other and stuff. One was a male and one was a female, and they would always like I don't know, like court each other back and forth and different things. Like it was kind of fun.
I feel like I've learned a lot about animals like in the past 2 weeks because my family got a dog, a puppy, as like when I was away, and just like hanging out with her for the first time. It's like I feel like dogs are a lot more human than I originally thought they were.
Dogs are really I mean, they're called man's best friend
for a reason.
For a reason.
It's interesting, yeah.
Well, have you had like growing up? Did you have any pets?
Yeah, we had a cat, which I got to know the cat species pretty well through that. I feel like, but yeah, dogs are very very fundamentally different from cats in many ways.
Yeah, cats.
They're way more human. Cats are kind of like almost like a reptile or a bird or something. That's how I see it.
They're more kind of doing their own thing. They're more like reclusive, but then dogs, their world is you, like you are.
Yeah, like a toddler or something, especially puppies. It's like they always want to like play or do something, or it's like, and that kind of impulse I feel like is very humanly. Even sometimes like the way their face looks or the way that they kind of like make noises is like very human. Like my dog kind of like snores a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
And you can tell with like their body language, because it really, when you get to know a dog, it really helps you understand that like most communication, even with people, is body language, right? Because like the dog isn't actually communicating to you with anything other than like the inflection of the voice. Yeah, I mean it barks or whatever else, but it will wag its tail. It'll come up a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll be like
No, you realize it does help you realize how much of that is kind of human stuff or animal stuff, whichever you derive it from. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or even something like waiting at a bus stop. That's like non-verbal communication, right? Because the bus driver knows to pick you up. But if you're standing an extra 5 feet away or 10 feet away, facing a different direction, the bus driver might not stop, right?
Exactly.
It's all just the body language. It's all just like.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just communicates all these cues, and that's what dogs and animals a lot of times rely on, like with each other, right?
Right.
Man, wouldn't that be cool to like be able to read the brain of like a dolphin or something?
I always wanted to like
so smart.
Yeah, know what animals, if they were like really conscious or if they're just kind of like a series of impulses. Yeah, it would be cool to be an animal or something, see what it's like. But
I think it's hard to get to know like a dog or something without feeling like they are actually feeling something, you know what I mean, like in return.
Right. No, it's true. I don't know, but I don't know what that. I don't know if they're, because I feel like a lot of humans are almost not even that aware of their own existence in a certain way, or they don't think that much about it at least.
Yeah, it's you kind of have to have a certain internal world in order to like really consider those sorts of
Exactly,
issues.
and I think there are people who are kind of like animal people. They don't really have like an internal world like that.
Or at least they don't seem to have as much. Like some people
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
have more
There's
of
it's
one.
like it has to be a spectrum, right? I mean, yeah, I don't know.
So do you want to talk a little bit more about your family? Like, do you have any like how many people are in your family?
In my like immediate family unit, I guess There's three others. My younger brother, my dad, and my mom, and then we have our cat and dog now. So it's like kind of a bigger family deal. And I have grandparents and aunts and uncles and one uncle actually, but yeah.
Have they like has your extended family been a pretty big part of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for instance, my uncle is like a big musical inspiration, influence, kind of mentor, because he just does the kind of the same stuff as I do. He hasn't been able to make a career in music without a college degree as well, which is like pretty shocking and impressive.
Very cool. And you have a concert coming up here while you're back in Utah on July 2nd, right?
I do.
Do you want to say
Hopefully
anything
more.
about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Actually, me and Jerem saw the guys that I'm playing with last night. We kind of went to one of their other things. I'm playing with the Garden Plot and Breakfast Biscuit, and my good friend Brandon Smith is in Breakfast Biscuit, and he just like wanted me to open for their last show. So I'm just like, I'm honestly honored, and it's gonna be cool because it's gonna be like totally sold out. Like those guys have a huge draw.
And when you mean like and I'm lucky enough to have a ticket. Yeah, I bought one early.
Hell yeah. Do you have a ticket,
My
Jerem?
boy Charles.
Today I will.
You should come, yeah. Jerem's sitting with us, by the way.
Yes.
Next on the chopping block for the interviews.
Yeah.